What's growing on, gardeners? On today's 2-minute garden tip, I'm going to show you how to instantly hydrate a hydrophobic seed starting mix or potting mix. The number one ingredient in seed starting mixes or high quality potting mixes is going to be either peat moss or coco coir, because they are one of the best natural mediums for starting seeds and growing plants in containers. However, when peat moss or coco coir is completely bone dry, as most commercial mixes are, they become very hydrophobic, meaning they repel water. So when you initially fill your seed starting trays with these mixes, if you pour tepid water on top of them, a lot of times it will bead up on the surface and it won't absorb. To fix this, many commercial potting mixes include something called wetting agents in their mix. This will help dry potting mix absorb water. But if you are making your own homemade potting mix or you are using an organic mix, those wetting agents won't be present, so you can have issues with hydration. I'm going to take this 8-cell seed starting tray and I'm going to fill the left 4 cells with the Miracle-Gro potting mix that contains a wetting agent, and I'm going to fill the right 4 cells with an organic Jiffy seed starting mix that does not contain a wetting agent. In this nifty little indoor watering can right here, I have some room temperature water. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wet the first 4 cells, which contains the Miracle-Gro potting mix with the wetting agent. And as you can see, as I apply the water to these cells, it instantly absorbs the water into the mix. That is due to the wetting agent that is present. But if I go to the other 4 cells, which contains the organic Jiffy mix that does not contain a wetting agent, watch what happens when I pour this onto the top. You see how all of that water is just beading up? It's barely absorbing into the mix. Now, if I were to sit here, this water would probably take 30 minutes to an hour to actively absorb into the soil. Look at that. Even after a full 3 minutes, that water is just sitting on the surface. It will not absorb into that hydrophobic organic mix. The solution to the problem is heat. If you use very hot water, it will absorb very readily into hydrophobic mix. Now, you can't heat it up until it's boiling if you're using plastic seed starting trays, because they will actually melt under the heat of boiling water. You want to heat it up so it is very hot and starting to steam to the point where it's scalding, but it's not so hot it melts your plastic trays. I'm going to take the scalding water and pour it into my watering can. Look at this, the cold water is still sitting on top of that soil. Now I'm going to take the scalding water and I'm going to pour it on the other 2 cells. And watch what happens with the scalding water. The scalding water is readily absorbing into the mix. No, it is not nearly as fast as the non-organic mix with the wetting agent, but as you can see, the hydration is comparatively rapid. So instead of taking 30 to 60 minutes to absorb into the mix, it's only going to take about a minute or 2 to fully hydrate that mix. Look at the way it's sinking down in real time. Isn't that amazing? And in a matter of moments, our mix has been fully hydrated. Just remember, when starting seeds, you have to let the mix cool back down to near room temperature before you sow the seeds. So this is a pre-hydration step. You don't want to sow your seeds, then pour scalding water on top of it. That could destroy the seeds, so please keep that in mind. And that is how you can instantly hydrate a bone-dry potting mix. And that's today's 2-minute garden tip. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell to receive new video notifications. And check out our Amazon storefront and spread shop in the video description for a list of the gardening products I use and awesome custom designed apparel and other gear. Your support is greatly appreciated.